Okay, welcome. Today, we're going to do something a bit different. We're not unpacking lots of sources. Instead, we're going to tell you a single, really disturbing story. It comes from a transcript, actually, from a Scary Story YouTube channel. And our plan is basically just to walk you through this account, exactly as it was told. We'll hit the key moments, the parts that really build the fear, and we'll leave you with some pretty chilling questions.
Right, and looking at a personal story like this, one presented as true, it really lets us see how fast things can go from totally normal to, well, terrifying. It's like looking at how a nightmare unfolds when you least expect it. We're letting the narrator's own words guide us here.
Exactly. So this story is told by someone who was 23 back then, now 27. He says, not a week goes by that he doesn't think about it. It all kicks off pretty innocently. A trip to Las Vegas. It's for their friend Andrew's 21st birthday. Now, Andrew, he's described as, kind of laid back, shy. And the group, there's 7 of them, all early to mid-20s. They had this, let's say, specific birthday goal for him. They checked into a place, the Carriage House, more affordable, 7 guys, 2 rooms. Andrew was actually in the narrator's room with 3 others. And the trip starts like pretty much any Vegas trip. They got food, went to a couple of casinos, just for the experience, really. Only one guy actually won anything, checked out some bars.
And that normality is key, isn't it? The source makes a point of setting up this very typical scene. Friends, birthday, Vegas tourist stuff, feels completely relatable, safe even, which of course just makes what happens next feel even more jarring.
Yeah, it really sets the stage. So as the night goes on, the narrator mentions things got blurry, everything seemed funnier. They end up at this pretty wild nightclub. 2 of the friends, John and Eddie, they actually leave with some girls they met, that classic see you later look. But the rest of them, they were really focused on Andrew, trying hard to push him, talk to someone. But even drunk, his shyness was just too strong. So this is where it takes a turn. They're like desperate to make this happen for Andrew, and the narrator admits they were completely hammered. They decide to leave the club. Their goal, find a working girl for Andrew. Right, so still pretty drunk. They see a girl walking by herself. They go up to her. The narrator says she wasn't anything special to look at, but he does remember her voice was kind of deep enough that he actually looked over at his friend like, did you hear that? And he felt like she was really sizing Andrew up. He doesn't recall the exact conversation, too drunk, but whatever they said, it ends with her grabbing Andrew's arm. They start walking off down the sidewalk together. The friends kind of laughed. Apparently Andrew looked super awkward. The narrator says that part didn't seem weird, the awkwardness, but they were curious. They decided to follow along behind them, to see what was going to go down.
And here's a detail the source points out, which feels significant later. The narrator notes it didn't look like they were talking as they walked, and more than that, it looked as if the girl was pulling him, not just walking next to him. That little observation feels quite ominous in hindsight, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, definitely plants a seed of doubt, right? Like maybe he wasn't totally on board. So they followed them for what felt like maybe 15 minutes, could have been longer. The street gets darker and quieter. Then they see Andrew and the girl step into some building. They just assume it's an apartment building. They're like, okay, job done. Feeling proud and happy for Andrew. So they turn around, head back to the club. Fast forward, it's around 2 a.m. They get back to the hotel, the Carriage House, and Andrew isn't in either room. This is when the narrator says he starts to sober up a bit. And that first bit of real concern hits him. John and Eddie, the guys who left earlier, they get back, hear the story, and they're shocked too. The first thought, the hopeful one, is, okay, maybe he just stayed the night with her. Makes sense. Right. But the narrator immediately says, no, that's totally out of character for Andrew doing anything like this. Just felt wrong, really weird. So he starts texting Andrew, calling him, over and over, no answer. His friends are telling him, dude, relax, he's fine. Eventually, he's exhausted, gives up, and just crashes, falls asleep. He says it felt like only minutes later, bam, phone rings. Wakes him right up, he's groggy, thinks it's his alarm maybe, but then his brain kicks in. He sees the caller ID. It's Andrew's number. He says his heart just dropped, tells his friends, we're kind of waking up from the noise, and he answers it. At first, silence, then just heavy breathing. Really ragged. It's Andrew. But he sounds like he's having a massive panic attack.
Wow.
The narrator quickly hits speakerphone so everyone in the room can hear. Andrew starts whispering. Most of it's just noise, panic. But they make out a few words. It was that woman, guys, and then really desperately, you got to get over here right now. They're all yelling into the phone, Andrew, where are you? What's happening? But he doesn't answer their questions. Nothing. And then the line goes totally silent.
Wow. That shift right there, from blurry party night to frantic whispers and then dead silence. The source really captures that sudden change in tone, doesn't it? It goes from a kind of dumb guy's trip story to something genuinely frightening in like an instant.
Yeah.
That silence is terrifying.
Absolutely chilling. He says they were just screaming into the dead phone, "Andrew, are you okay? Where are you?" He's already shaking right. But what happens next? He says it made the horror 10 times worse. Suddenly, breaking that silence on Andrew's end, they hear the sound of a door being thrown open, like forced open. And immediately after that, Andrew just lets out this shrill and horrific screaming. And then, click, call ends. Gone. The narrator says they were all just, quote, freaking the fuck out. Total panic. He calls 911 right away. But here's the problem. They were, as he said, so messed up the night before. He cannot remember the address, not even the street name. He has no idea how they even got there. Just stumbling around drunk, right? But one of the other friends, Jerry, I think, insists, no, I remember, I know where it was. So the police arrive at the hotel, they escort the friends, Jerry directs them, taking these side roads, heading towards the building he thinks it is. They finally pull up near the building. 2 officers from the first car go inside. They tell the friends, wait here, by the second car. And the narrator describes that wait, feeling like hours, just pure dread.
Anticipation, sickening fear about what those officers were going to find inside. After what felt like forever, one officer comes back out, walks over to their car, and she asks them to come inside to identify if a dead body belonged to Andrew. I says his world just collapsed. 2 of the friends, John and Jerry, just started crying, couldn't handle it, couldn't go in. So the narrator, heart pounding like crazy, follows the officer inside, alone. And the place, it wasn't apartments, not all, it was like some kind of dark abandoned storage building. And, yeah, there was a body, slumped, kind of leaning out of an open closet. The description is just awful. A motionless face, mouth lifelessly hung open, staring up at the ceiling. Horrible, horrible sight. But then, the twist, a horrible, confusing twist. It wasn't Andrew. The narrator says he knew immediately. The body had blonde hair. Andrew's hair was black. Instant recognition. Not him. The officers had already quickly checked the rest of the building, found nothing else. He seemed kind of unsure what the next step was. The narrator, just on pure instinct, looks inside the closet where the body was found. Maybe Andrew's hiding. He doesn't know why. Just a feeling. But empty. Nothing. Not even a phone.
That moment must have been just whiplash, intense relief. Thank God it's not Andrew, immediately followed by this cold dread. Okay, so where is Andrew? And who is this? What happened here? Finding this body just opens up a whole new, terrifying set of unknowns right when they thought they might get answers.
Yeah, exactly. Relief, but zero comfort. So the friends try to move on, put it behind them. But the source says about a month later, middle of the night, another phone call, random number. Narrator answers. Reception's really bad. Static. Nobody talking on the other end. He's about to hang up. Figure it's nothing. And then he hears it. A faint yet familiar voice. It says his name, Jesse. Then, Andrew. He just yells Andrew's name back into the phone. And in the background, clear as day, he hears the door slam shut. Then the call cuts off. Dead again. He tries calling back immediately. 5 times. Straight to, well, nowhere. No answer. This time, no waiting. He calls the police again. Tells them what happened. Insists they trace this call now. And the result of that trace. Absolutely shocking. The call didn't come from Vegas, not Nevada. It came from New Jersey, their own town. From a house, the dispatcher says, not too far away. Police are sending a car, but for the narrator, that's not enough. He feels this tense urgency. He has to go there. Now, puts the address into his GPS, jumps in his car, floors it, gets there in like 5 minutes. It's this vacant-looking house on a corner lot. He sneaks up to the front door, puts his ear against it. Listens hard. Silence. So he creeps around the back, finds a window that's slightly open. He listens there. And from upstairs, faint sounds. Small snaps and cracks. Like the sound of someone moving around on old wooden floors. He says he was suddenly sure Andrew was in there. He manages to hop inside through the window. He's about to start searching, looking around, but then he sees something, or someone, something at the edge of the hallway. Standing there, facing him. He can't see the face clearly, but he sees pale exposed legs and long black hair down past their shoulders. It's a woman. He says he felt instantly sick, terrified, expecting her to just charge him, like in a horror movie. But that's not what happened. She just turns, runs away from him deeper into the house. He hears a door slam shut upstairs, then footsteps, like stomping downstairs somewhere else, and then yelling starts. A man and woman yelling at each other, loudly.
Hearing multiple voices, the man and the woman yelling, that confirms it wasn't just one person involved, right? It points towards something more organized, maybe? More people involved in holding Andrew? Which just makes the whole situation feel even bigger and scarier.
Yeah, definitely ups the stakes. And right after the yelling, he hears new footsteps. An even heavier pair of footsteps now stomping up the stairs. Towards him. That's his cue. Time to go. He scrambles back out the window he came in through and just dove into the bush outside to hide. He says it was perfect timing. Not even 5 seconds later, someone walks out onto the front porch. And then finally, a stroke of luck. A police car pulls right up to the house, lights flashing. He hears the guy who came out onto the porch mutter shit under his breath, then quickly slams the door and goes back inside. The police head right in after him. Apparently, the narrator notes, the idiot didn't even lock the door. He stays hidden in the bushes for a bit, doesn't want to spook the cops, then waits by the police car out front. A few minutes pass. An officer comes back out, leading the guy in handcuffs. The narrator comes out, identifies himself, tells him what happened, and quickly says, hey, there was a woman inside too. Did you find her? But they didn't. They searched, but no woman. The source mentions one of the upstairs bedroom windows was found wide open. Theory is she must have climbed out and escaped that way. And Andrew, they found him, upstairs, locked in a closet. He was in terrible condition. Horrible shape, the narrator says. Malnourished hair, long and dirty, said you can smell him from a mile away. Just awful. The guy they arrested didn't give him much. Police ran his background, nothing connecting him clearly. He claimed he'd only known the woman for about a day. As the narrator puts it bluntly, nothing made sense, and it still doesn't. Andrew later on did confide to the narrator, just him, none of the other friends. He told him he'd been raped, beaten, hardly fed the entire time. Andrew also revealed something about why, maybe, a terrifying little piece. He said the girl back in Vegas, the first one, she was just paid to grab him, paid by people he called the operators. And these operators, for some reason, forced Andrew to give them his hometown address and the addresses of the friends who were with him in Vegas. So that explains how they ended up finding him in New Jersey. But the why? Why come all the way back to their town? The narrator asks in the source, was it to kill us? To add us to whatever kind of sex slave operation they were running? They just don't know.
And that's maybe the most disturbing part of this whole account. You get some answers, the abduction, the rescue, the forced information, but the core motive, the identity of these operators, the woman, it's all left hanging. Who were they? What was the ultimate goal? That lack of resolution, that complete mystery around the why just amplifies the horror. It feels unfinished, dangerous.
It really does. And according to the source, finding Andrew wasn't quite the end of it. The threat, or at least the feeling of it, lingered. Days after the rescue, late at night, the narrator gets a text message. Random number again, just 2 words. Fuck you. He blocked the number immediately. But it happened again the next week. Another random number, same message. Then again the month after that. He felt sure it was connected, but had no idea what else might happen. And then there's one final, really chilling incident he describes. He wakes up one night. There's a light coming into his bedroom. It's the porch light in his backyard, shining through the blinds, which is unusual. He sees a shadow moving outside the window. Someone's definitely out there. He can't see properly through the bottom crack of the blinds, so he very, very slowly inches the blind up just a tiny bit. And there's someone standing right there by the window, looking right back at him. He said it was as if they were waiting for him to look. Before he could even think to grab his phone, try for a picture, anything, they were gone, vanished. He says he strongly believes it was that woman from the vacant house, the one who got away. And that, according to the source, was the absolute last time he saw or heard anything related to this whole nightmare. His final thought in the account is just, nothing of this whole situation have make a single ounce of sense, even with what little Andrew could tell him.
It's a powerful ending, isn't it? That feeling of a threat still unresolved. The narrator is left hyper-vigilant, constantly looking over his shoulder, ready for something. It really drives home how trauma like this, especially when it's unexplained, doesn't just end when the immediate event is over. It lingers. That fear becomes a part of you.
Yeah, a truly terrifying story that just keeps echoing. So telling this story straight from the source, what does it leave you with?
Yeah.
It's this chilling journey, right? A birthday trip that spirals into abduction, a horrifying discovery that thankfully wasn't Andrew, but then this awful rescue and this lingering unknown threat, these mysterious operators, this woman who vanished. It makes you think about how terrifying the unknown can be when the danger isn't clear, when the motives are completely hidden. It makes you wonder, right? What would you do in that situation?
Yeah.
Living with the knowledge that someone involved in something so awful might still be out there watching. Well, that's all the time we have for telling this particular story today. It was intense.
Definitely unsettling. Thanks for tuning in.